you didn't hear this from me, darling, but I've uncovered some whispers from the set of the Harry Potter reboot that are just too delicious not to share. And let me tell you, it's getting rather wild out there. So gather round, my fellow lore lover, because the magic, or should I say the chaos, just keeps on unfolding. We're going to dive into every single set leak since filming began. Honestly, it's like a sieve, this production, but rather brilliant for us, wouldn't you agree? Then, there's this utterly insane Netflix rumor that could quite literally flip the whole series upside down, like a miscast flipendo charm. We'll also delve into some juicy news about the new full-cast audiobooks, and if that weren't enough, we'll grapple with the ongoing Neville and Emma Watson versus Rowling. Well, let's call it drama, shall we? So, settle in, perhaps with a nice cup of Earl Grey, teacup clink, and let's unravel this magical mess together. Right, so, cameras started rolling back in July 2025 in the UK, and honestly, the leaks have been pouring out ever since. It's almost as if they want us to have an insane sneak peek at how HBO is crafting this reboot, wouldn't you say? First up, the Dursleys. Now, probably the least magical family in the entire series, but my word, they're so important, aren't they? They set the tone for Harry's rather miserable early life, and the show, it seems, isn't holding back. We've seen set photos of Daniel as Vernon Dursley, complete with that magnificent mustache, those slightly ridiculous patterned shirts, and that quintessential "I'm far too important for this nonsense" expression. And then there's Belle Powley as Petunia, sporting blonde hair, which, for a book purist like myself, is a delightful little nod straight from the text, not the dark-haired version the films gave us. That alone, darling, is a clear signal that HBO is aiming for book accuracy that the original films sometimes, well, they just didn't bother, did they? But the real kicker, the detail that made me squeal with delight, was the London Zoo sequence. We have Harry in his oversized Dudley hand-me-down jumper, Dudley himself, and then Piers Polkiss. Yes, Dudley's little sidekick, who was right there in the book, but completely erased from the movies. HBO is actually including him, which is a glorious little wink to all of us fans who have always pondered, where on earth was Piers? It's not a throwaway choice, my love. It screams that they're committed to bringing these scenes to life exactly as J.K. Rowling penned them. Then came the prologue leak, and this is where the fandom truly perked up. They are actually filming Vernon Dursley's perspective on the day after Voldemort's fall. You know, the violet-cloaked wizard bumping into Vernon on his way home, cheering that you-know-who has finally gone. Straight from the very first chapter of the book. The movie skipped it entirely, but the show, bless its cotton socks, is putting it in. That's monumental, because it establishes the magical world from the Muggle side, the confusion, the sheer weirdness, the secrecy. It sets a profoundly different tone for the story than the movies ever dared to, don't you think? Iconic locations, too, have been spotted. Platform 9 3/4 is being rebuilt at Leedsden Studios, which is lovely, but HBO went a step further. They actually filmed at the real King's Cross station, with Network Rail employees as extras. And who should show up? The entire Weasley family. Catherine Perkinson as Molly, looking absolutely splendid, plus the child actors for Ron, Ginny, Fred, and George, all captured in costume, ready to board the train with Harry for the very first time. Fans, myself included, went absolutely wild for these shots. The Weasleys are the very heart of the series, aren't they? And seeing them so early, so completely in character, made everything feel wonderfully, deliciously real. We even got our first official image of Nick Frost as Hagrid. Now, say what you will about the casting, but the man looks simply massive, shaggy, and utterly perfect next to a young Harry and Diagon Alley. And speaking of Diagon Alley, they filmed the moment Hagrid buys Harry a hamburger after their Gringotts trip, which is an actual line from the book that was cut from the films. Again, that book accuracy theme just keeps repeating itself like a charming refrain. The sets themselves, according to these marvelous leaks, show a practical Great Hall under construction, not just clever CGI walls, but an actual massive build. Add to that countryside shots near Windsor Grand Park, standing in for the Scottish Highlands, and this thing is already looking far more tactile and lived in than the original movies sometimes managed. Oh, and the curveball, my dear. The Hogwarts Express. It looks almost exactly like the movie version. Same red steam engine, same wonderful vibe. Some fans adore the nostalgia, others are a tad frustrated, saying, why reboot if you're just recreating the old visuals? But here's the thing, the details aren't identical. Reports suggest even the license plate is different, and the train was literally seen upside down during transport. That rather suggests they might be building multiple models, perhaps even for stunts or magical effects we've never seen before. Intriguing, isn't it? And a fun little extra, the set even received a royal family visit. No, not Harry and Meghan, darling. Actual royals dropping by for a peek. That just goes to show you how absolutely massive this project is. It's not just a TV show. It's practically a global cultural event already. So bottom line, every single leak so far points to one glorious thing. HBO is deadly serious about sticking to the books. We're not just rewatching the movies in HD, we're finally getting all those tiny moments we missed the first time around. Now, before I spill the next secret, make sure you've subscribed, love. You'll want to be here when I uncovered the real reason Gandalf hesitated at the Black Gate. Now, let's talk about the bombshell rumor that dropped and had everyone in a bit of a tizzy. Netflix might be about to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, the literal parent company making this Harry Potter series. The reported price tag is a staggering $40 billion. Can you imagine? This is utterly wild, because if it goes through, Netflix wouldn't just own Harry Potter. They'd own DC Comics, Superman, Batman, and HBO itself. They'd essentially sweep up two of the biggest franchises on the planet in one fell swoop. Why would Netflix even consider such a thing, you ask? Because honestly, my dear, they rather need it. If Netflix acquires Warner Brothers, suddenly they possess DC Comics, they possess Harry Potter. That's two of the biggest entertainment franchises on the planet. That's the kind of intellectual property that simply locks people into subscriptions. You're hardly going to cancel Netflix if that's where all the new Harry Potter content resides, are you? But here's the rub, and it's a rather large one. Netflix has a track record that, quite frankly, terrifies fans. Firstly, they cancel things with alarming speed. Sense8, The OA, Mindhunter, Shadow and Bone, all, sadly, killed before they could properly finish their stories. Imagine that happening to Harry Potter. This show is meant to run for 10 years, one season per book. If Netflix swoops in and then axes it after 2 seasons because it isn't quite hitting those Stranger Things numbers, that would be nothing short of catastrophic. Secondly, Netflix moves at a glacial pace sometimes. Stranger Things fans have been waiting 3 years between seasons. If they implement that here, the child actors will simply age out instantly. Cast an 11-year-old now, and by season 4, they'll be 20, playing 14. Unless they resort to recasting mid-series, which, let's be honest, no one truly wants. Thirdly, there's the danger of oversaturation. Look at what Disney did with Marvel and Star Wars. At first, it was absolutely marvelous, endless content, spin-offs, sideshows. But after a while, a certain fatigue set in. Many hands simply tuned out. If Netflix gets its hands on Harry Potter, they're going to milk it for all it's worth, aren't they? A Marauders show? A Hunting Dark Wizards spin-off? Beauxbaton? No, Ilvermorny prequels, you name it.
And while that sounds rather exciting in theory, it could very easily become just too much. There's also the distribution question. In some regions, like our very own UK, HBO Max isn't even available. Netflix, with its global reach, could blast Harry Potter worldwide in a way HBO simply cannot. We might even see peculiar tiered access, like Harry Potter only on Netflix Premium, while HBO Max retains it in the US. That could be utterly brilliant for global fans, or just a rather confusing mess. So, this Netflix rumor is very much a double-edged sword. It could supercharge the franchise with endless content, but it could also derail the one faithful adaptation many of us have been begging for. And let's be absolutely clear. Right now, it is still just a rumor. No official deal has struck. But the mere fact this is even being discussed shows just how incredibly valuable Harry Potter still is in 2025. And if Netflix does buy Warner Brothers, darling, everything about this reboot changes overnight. All right, now for something that honestly got me rather too excited. The brand new Harry Potter full cast audiobooks from Audible and Pottermore. Not only are these packed with A-list talent, I mean, Hugh Laurie as Dumbledore, Riz Ahmed as Snape, Kit Harington as Lockhart, Keira Knightley as Umbridge, James McAvoy as Mad-Eye Moody. The list is truly stacked. But the real surprise, the cherry on top, is the cover art. These aren't your standard stick Hogwarts in the background and call it a day designs. Oh no, each one is absolutely brimming with hidden details, clever reflections, and delightful Easter eggs that connect directly to the very themes of the books. It's basically a treasure hunt for us fans, isn't it? So, let's go through them, shall we? One by delightful one. Philosopher's Stone. This cover looks rather simple at first glance, Hogwarts towering in the background, all grand and imposing. But look again, the castle, my dear, is upside down. Yes! A wonderful visual cue that Harry's world is about to flip completely. And instead of merely focusing on the grandeur of the school, the art places Harry and his friends right at the forefront. You can almost feel the wonder on Harry's face as he realizes his entire life is about to change. It's not just about the castle itself, it's about what it means to him. Oh, and bonus points. Trevor the Toad makes a blink-and-you'll-miss-it cameo if you look closely enough. That's the kind of detail that makes these covers feel truly alive. Chamber of Secrets. This one is all about flight and danger, isn't it? You've got Harry chasing the snitch with Draco Malfoy right behind him. And that's already interesting because Draco's connection to the rogue bludger makes the imagery even sharper. And then there's the snitch itself. The way it's drawn, it almost acts like a mirror, tying into that wonderful reflection theme we see across these covers. Remember, in wizarding lore, snitches are enchanted to remember the first person who touches them. A direct nod to Harry's future role. Clever stuff, truly. Also, if you recall what happens in that particular Quidditch match, Harry's arm bones being vanished, seeing him stretch out for that snitch again is, dare I say, low-key painful. Prisoner of Azkaban. Now this one, my love, is pure genius. At first glance, it's a lovely nod to the classic Bloomsbury cover, Harry and Hermione riding Bookheb. But here's the twist. The perspective is flipped. Instead of just simply showing them in flight, we're seeing them reflected from Sirius Black's point of view. Just think about that for a moment. This is the book where Sirius transforms from terrifying murderer to misunderstood godfather. And this moment of reflection literally shows him seeing Harry and Hermione as his salvation. Add in the full moon in the background, Lupin's little furry problem, of course, and you've got a cover absolutely packed with symbolism. Goblet of Fire. Okay, this one, it straight up gave me chills. You've got Harry and Cedric flying towards the Triwizard Cup, surrounded by lush foliage and even a blast-ended Scroot from Hagrid's class. Cool enough, right? But look closer, darling, at the cup itself. Inside that shiny surface, you can actually see a reflection of a gravestone. And not just any gravestone. It literally says, Tom Riddle. That's the designers basically screaming, hey, remember how this tournament ends? It's not just about the prize, it's about Voldemort's devastating return. Honestly, it's one of the best Easter eggs of the whole set. It's very Percy Jackson prophecy vibes, isn't it? Very subtle, but so impactful. Order of the Phoenix. This one is heavy with emotion, don't you think? You see Harry, battered and bruised, but what's in his glasses? The reflection of the Ministry jewel. Dumbledore versus Voldemort, the detail is simply insane. The green of Nagini and Voldemort's curse clashing with the red of Fawkes and Dumbledore's fire. The split of colours across Harry's face is subtle, but so powerful. A visual nod to his connection to both Voldemort and Dumbledore, and his ongoing battle with identity. And thematically, this is absolutely perfect for Order, because it's the book where no one believes Harry, and suddenly the truth is literally reflected in his very own eyes. Half-Blood Prince. Oof, this one hurts, doesn't it? At the top of the astronomy tower, you've got Dumbledore, the dark mark looming ominously above. The green glow creeps across the image, like Voldemort's corruption spreading into Hogwarts. And then, hidden in the shadows, you spot Draco Malfoy's reflection. This is so layered. It reminds us that while Draco was often the arrogant bully, in this moment, he was just a terrified teenager being forced into an impossible task. The reflection captures both his secret
Deathly Hallows. And finally, the big one. The cover shows Harry and McGonagall standing side by side as she summons the Hogwarts suits of armor to defend the school. Goosebumps, right? They're both in Gryffindor colors, McGonagall rocking her tartan robe, and the whole thing radiates a warmth despite the looming threat. Look closely at the armor, though. In the reflection of the shield, you can see Death Eaters approaching. But here's the clever part. Their reflection isn't shown on Harry or McGonagall. It's on the armor, the defense itself. It's a beautiful visual metaphor for resilience and hope. Honestly, it's the perfect way to cap off the series. Not just doom and gloom, but light, strength, and unity. Overall, takeaway, my dear, these covers aren't just pretty art. They're exquisite storytelling tools, each one packed with themes of reflection, hidden clues, and deeper meaning. From the stellar casts to the immersive sound world that Pottermore and Audible have conjured, listeners everywhere will be given a brand new way to be transported directly into these celebrated stories. And yes, when the audiobooks drop, they're not replacing the classics from Jim Dale or Stephen Fry. Oh no, they're sitting alongside them as a completely new experience. Less bedtime reading, more cinematic audio drama. Utterly enchanting. All right, time for the last batch of news. And honestly, this part is just as dramatic as the set leaks and Netflix rumors. Wouldn't you agree? Let's start with Neville Longbottom, or, well, Matthew Lewis, the gentleman who played him in the films. He gave an interview where he did not hold back about how peculiar it feels to see the reboot moving forward without him. He said, and I quote, "I haven't really thought about the series as a whole at all, really. I'll probably have to pay my therapist for a double session when I finally do think about it." That's rather harsh, but also very, very real, isn't it? Imagine being part of a franchise that quite literally defined your entire career and then seeing your beloved role recast for a new generation. It's got a sting, hasn't it? That said, he did throw a little love toward the new Neville actor, Rory Wilmot, saying he's proud Neville is now canon Yorkshire. His exact words were, "I feel quite humbled in that Neville is now canon Yorkshire. Whether that's a tribute to me or not, I don't know. I'm going to say that it is." So he's clearly protective of the character, but he also understands that it's time to let the new cast shine. In fact, he flat out said the last thing the new cast needs is for has-beens weighing in. Just let them cook. Respect for that, truly. He's basically saying, yes, it's tough, but don't let us old cast members weigh you down. That's rather classy, even if you can still feel the sting in his words, can't you? And finally, the never-ending drama. J.K. Rowling versus Emma Watson. This feud has been simmering for years, and it just got reignited rather spectacularly, I might add. Emma recently said on a podcast that she still treasures Rowling despite disagreeing with her views on trans rights. On paper, that sounds like a rather gracious olive branch, a respectful disagreement while still honoring their past relationship. But Rowling was having none of it. Oh no, she clapped back hard, saying,
Emma is ignorant of how ignorant she is. She accused Emma of living a privileged life that shields her from real-world issues like single-sex spaces or shelters. And she doubled down on her claim that Emma, Daniel Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint basically act as de facto spokespeople for the world I created. To make matters worse, Rowling accused Emma of cozying up to a movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination. That, my dear, is not just sharp criticism. That is scorched earth. So the feud isn't going away. Every time it flares back up, it rather unhelpfully drags the reboot into the crossfire. Because no matter how splendid the sets look, or how accurate the story is, the off-screen controversies are always hovering, aren't they? Like a rather persistent dementor. So let's take stock of where we're at, shall we? We've got set leaks proving HBO is going full book accurate down to Piers Polkiss and... wait, Paris... oh, Daedalus Diggle, with practical sets, the Great Hall under construction, and even a royal family cameo. Truly a spectacle. We've got Netflix circling Warner Brothers with a possible $40 billion deal that could either supercharge Harry Potter with endless spin-offs or, dare I say, nuke the whole reboot if Netflix pulls its usual cancellation stunt. We've got brand new audiobooks with covers stuffed full of Easter eggs, upside-down Hogwarts, Malfoy chasing the snitch, Sirius's perspective, Tom Riddle hidden in the Triwizard Cup, reflections of Dumbledore versus Voldemort in Harry's glasses. Honestly, some of the smartest art we've ever seen for the series. And then there's the drama. Matthew Lewis, bless him, struggling to let Neville go, and J.K. Rowling versus Emma Watson keeping the headlines fiery. The truth is, my lovely lore explorer, this reboot isn't just a TV show. It's a cultural storm. It's nostalgia, controversy, hype, and chaos all rolled into a delightful, bewildering package. And we're still 2 years away from the premiere in 2027. If it's this wild now, just imagine what the next leaks will bring. So now I want to hear from you, darling. Do you think Netflix buying Warner Brothers would save the reboot or doom it? And which audiobook cover blew your mind the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I'm absolutely diving in and replying to as many as I can. That's all for now, my lovely lore explorer, but don't wander too far.